house here at Star Plain. Lehana Tutezi. Lehana, what do you have for us at this point? Hello, Lehana.
Thank you very much, Vuyo and Tracy. And I must say this morning, as we all know, in a few minutes' time, the President will be taken to the podium to give the State of the Nation address. There are expectations, of course, from the President's speech, and expectations are that the President will try and sort of put out a clear and a very focal point as to what the government intends doing in relation with the education in the country. Expectations are also that he might try and address the issue of poverty, the issue of health, as we all know, of the disease that is actually gripping the whole world. I must say, in the light of the other bills which have already been passed and which the President has signed into law, such as the access to information, the procurement bill, and of course the equality bill, the President will then, in the light of this, probably inform the public that it's time now that the government saw to the implementation of these bills which have been passed. Another issue that probably it's likely to come, it's the fact that Parliament will work harder than they did the last time.
Thanks very much to Lehana Tutezi. We'll be passing to him throughout our broadcast. And we know that rural development is going to be one of the focuses today here at the State of the Nation address. And Mbeki is likely to flesh out his government's commitment to improving the lot of the country's poor, especially in the rural areas where up to 70% of the country's poor live. Sean, any comment?
I mean, and that's why I think it's going to be an integrated strategy. One of the criticisms about rural development in South Africa is that it's been piecemeal. You know, it might be about housing, it might be about electricity, but I think the approach now, it should be integrated on the part of government.
Well, the Minister of Welfare and Population Development, Zola Skweyiya, has said that government is investigating the possibility of a welfare grant for those South Africans living under the poverty line at a cost of between 6 and 7 billion rand.
Well, that is what people often refer to popularly as the dole, you know, the English system, which is people who cannot afford it or don't have work, can rely and fall back on the state. I think that will definitely happen. If there's going to be any sort of big bang announcement, that could be part of it.
You're watching our live broadcast of President Mbeki's State of the Nation address that's scheduled for broadcast in just about 10 minutes time at 11 o'clock live here on SABC2, the President's assessment of the State of the Nation. And you see there the people who are on standby and to welcome the President, just standing on either side of the red carpet, people representing all faces of South African society.
The motorcade of Deputy President Jacob Zuma is expected to arrive at Top Roland Street in a few minutes, and then the President's car will follow a few minutes later.
And Jacob Zuma, the Deputy President, has in fact arrived, Trace. He's now walking down here. His motorcade has just come in and is coming towards us here. We're walking just past the side.
Deputy President of the country, Jacob Zuma.
Speaker is not available during the plenary sessions of Parliament. That is the meeting of the full House. Then the Deputy Speaker takes over, and I think the Speaker will welcome the President, Thabo Mbeki.
Well, there you see on your screen the President of South Africa, President Thabo Mbeki arriving, led by the motorcade.
That's the first motorcade, President Thabo Mbeki, surely accompanied by the First Lady of the country, Zanele Mbeki, as the Deputy President Jacob Zuma and the Deputy Speaker of the House, Baleka Mbete Kosizile, enter the National Assembly to take their places. And earlier we saw former President Nelson Mandela arriving here with his wife, Graça Machel. Former President Mandela is in fact the special guest of President Thabo Mbeki and his wife Zanele here today.
And that is former President Nelson Mandela's first visit to Parliament since he handed the reins to Mbeki. Wonder how it feels for him actually just sitting back and being a spectator and enjoying the moment. Sean, what do you think?
Well, I think what President Mandela has done since he left the stage is to step back. I mean, even at the inauguration, he didn't, try to upstage President Mbeki, and even afterwards, I remember last year at the opening of Parliament, President Mandela did the same thing, arrived earlier, inconspicuous, and I think he wants to show that after him, there are capable leaders to lead South Africa into the next century. Well, we are in it already, though.
There you can see former President Nelson Mandela arriving as now we cut away to the motorcade, the first motorcade, the motorcade of President Thabo Mbeki, making its way towards Steenhuis and Stalplein, and in fact the National Assembly, where he's going to make that very important State of the Nation address in just a few minutes' time. Of course, some of the people in attendance here, all of the government ministers are here today. We saw them as we came in from breakfast. Tracy and I went back to our hotel to have breakfast after Morning Live. And we did see the Sports Minister, Ngonde Balfour, as well as some of the other government ministers who are here today to come and attend the State of the Nation address, that President Mbeki's State of the Nation address. The first motorcade arriving here in Parliament.
President Thabo Mbeki has been hailed by many as the delivery president, and the first 7 months of his presidency have been marked by a renewed commitment to implementation of policy, delivery of services and efficient government locally, and his philosophy on African renaissance in foreign policy. Sean, would a large part of his address today be actually looking back on those last 7 months and sort of noting the successes to date?
Well, any State of the Nation address is about first stating all your accomplishments. Talking about the Scorpions, the unit that was established to deal with crime, better integration in the police services, the Investment Council on the economic front. In rural development, they have a social plan, so would local government. So I think the first part of the speech would deal with that, definitely. The thing is, then you move on to the challenges, because one of the things I think Mbeki has a very different approach than Mandela, more specific, but there's no sort of statement of very ambitious targets. There's rather a sort of an affirmation of what we've done and reviewing those policies.
Looking forward to seeing what Mrs. Mbeki is wearing today. A wife of Mr. Nelson Mandela looked lovely in her cerise outfit this morning. Voya, what did you think?
Yeah, she really did look lovely, Tracy. Also looking lovely today was the Deputy Speaker of the House, Baleka Mbete Kosizile, whom we saw moments ago, who went to Steenhuis to go and receive the Deputy President of the country, Jacob Zuma. Now then, President Thabo Mbeki has arrived. He has been received by the Speaker of the House, Frini Ginwala, and the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces. And again, we give way to the African drum.
Looking absolutely beautiful in her, what do you call it, sort of a lime green outfit, and truly appreciating the warm welcome that they're arriving, acknowledging the hard work that people have put in for today to be a success.
And talking about hard work, this morning our producer Nyana Muleta was running around trying to get the cleaners here at Parliament to try and lower the noise a bit. They were trying to clean this tube to make sure that when the president arrived, all is clean and well. And it was a bit of a mission that, but we did in fact get that under control and the broadcast was able to continue.
Our President Thabo Mbeki has a Master's in Economics from Sussex University in the UK. And just recently, John Stremler, Professor in the Department of International Relations at the University of Witwatersrand, said that Mbeki has grasped better than any other political leader in the country the essence of globalization, which is probably because of where he comes from.
Well, it's very much reflected in the sort of macroeconomic policy that we want.
What were those 4 planes?
Saw the South African flag flying with pride there from the helicopters.
If you've just walked in, let's just reassure you we haven't declared war on anybody. This is the formal part of the opening of Parliament and preparations for President Thabo Mbeki's State of the Nation address. So be assured we're not entering Lesotho or anything like that.
And there he is entering the new wing of Parliament. That's where the chambers of Parliament are to be found.
That's the National Assembly, the chamber of the National Assembly is there. There's also, in the confines of Parliament, there's the Senate, the former Senate, which is now the NCOP. But the speech this morning will be in the National Assembly.
The National Assembly.
Sitting.
Sean, the electric atmosphere that I've just experienced here, guns blazing, helicopters flying past, the Air Force, just the build-up to this whole event. It must take an enormous degree of preparation and organization to synchronize it. I mean, everything comes in at a specific point in time.
Well, it's very much part of any government or any state, wants to show the pomp and ceremony of what it is as a government or as a state. And I think the preparations involve the army, it involves the navy, the staff of Parliament, even cultural groups. And so the people here who are standing waiting for President Mbeki, it's just not people who were grabbed off the street. And there's where we can see the maize bearer